have updated news on the Berlin blockade. The blockade was put in place because of the new currency in Western Berlin called Deutschmark, aka D-Mark. Everybody in Eastern Europe changed their currency to this type currency because they thought it was more valuable. In response, the Soviet Union cut off all the railroads, canals, and roads from entering and exiting Berlin. In response, here's a Communist Party member about this type of situation.
Now you see, the USSR didn't like the new currency. So in response to the Allies' powers, we have put in a blockade cutting off all supplies to Berlin. The new currency is also going to wreck our current currency. We also need our fair share of Germany to be under our rule and not have an island of democracy and Western power within that land. Our goal is for the great Soviet Union to take over West Berlin and make it part of East Germany.
President Truman decides to send planes full of food, supplies to West Berlin to aid people in need. This is now being called the Berlin Airlift. The Berlin Airlift is keeping the Soviet Union out from taking over the city. Here's a woman and her take on the whole situation.
My husband told me we only have 36 more days of food and 45 more days of coal left. Before the airlift, I was struggling to find out what would happen to my family and my puppy. They'd had no food. But after the airlift, I was glad that we got food and supplies for them.
No one wants another world war on their hands. So the Soviet Union offered to get rid of this blockade only if we get rid of our currency that we've put in place in Eastern Europe and Berlin. But can we trust these communist people? Will they take down the blockade and feed the people who want to be free? That's the real question, America. See you next week on World News Tonight.
Berlin in 1945 seemed a ghost city, and it was a divided city. That had already been decided by the three Allied leaders who at Potsdam were settling the shape of the post-war world. They divided the whole of Germany into 4 zones of military occupation. Although it was in the Russian zone, Berlin, the former capital, came in for special treatment. It too was carved up into 4 sectors. Martial aid was helping West German industry to revive, but a further step was being considered, to replace the inflated wartime currency with a more stable one. The Russians saw this as a provocative move because they wanted to introduce their own currency, not only into the Russian zone, but also in Berlin. On June the 24th, the Russians stopped all rail traffic to Berlin. On August the 24th, Autobahn and canal links were severed. Gas and electric supplies from East Berlin were cut. On June the 25th, the Western Allies started an airlift to provide 2 million people with the necessities of life. The Berliners' refusal to panic, plus the Allied aircraft, proved too much for the Russians. They couldn't crush West Berlin economically, they couldn't win it politically. In January 1949, Stalin said the Russians were ready to negotiate, and on May the 5th, the blockade ended.
Anyways, I'm back to better news. Okay.
Alright.
Again, itch my weave a couple times. The blockade was put in place because of the new currency that was added to Western Berlin called the Deutschmark, called the Deutschmark, of this new currency. Oh, the water. The dog.
So in response to the change of the new currency,
Can I touch them? My husband told me we only have 36 more days of stop. Can I get the dog? You sure? Teach me how.
alright,
War on their hands. So the Soviet Union just eat chips in the background.
I got some habits I can't shake.
Whoa! Stick that line.
Oh, it's like he's getting like
arrested.
Offer to get rid of this blockade only if we dropped our currency.
You gotta be tough.
The real culprit.
The real communists, you know, chips in America. Them the chips for the children. Oh my god. These are the chips for the orphans. The real question is, okay, seriously. Yes, sir. We're gonna have bloopers, 5 minute long bloopers.
Alright, Steve.
Grat.
Look at that.